for and getting tremendous responses for, but Victorious just wasn't one of them that were being promoted enough. I mean, very rarely would you see advertisements for Victorious being shown on Nickelodeon TV or Kids TV. Nobody really knew what Victorious was really all about, and people would look at me and say, you know, who is Victoria Justice? People will point the finger at Victoria Justice and say, you know, who is that? And I would have to explain for them for hours, you know, who Victoria Justice is. And once they realized who Victoria Justice is, along with all of you, everything just took off. And if not for you guys, I don't know where the cast of Victorious would be. Most of them came, just to give you a little bit of a backdrop of info here, most of them came from the Broadway musical The Lion King, which was produced for Disney back in 1994, and then the musical came out a few years after. Most of them, like Matt Bennett and Ariana Grande, came from the Broadway musical The Lion King, and nobody thought this show was going to amount to anything. Nobody knew if this show was going to get off the ground, and it did. Because the overflow of talent and just the camaraderie that we saw, I think, was really something that jumped off the pages to me about Victorious, was the camaraderie we saw between all the cast members. And the thing was about the cast there were these unpredictable cast members that never did get enough credit, like Danielle Montier, who played Trina, Victoria Justice's sister, Tori's sister. Victorious, I mean, she was somebody who was in Taking 5 a number of years later. And I think that, you know, this was something that I was noticing, was the fact that, you know, you had so many cast members of Victorious getting a lot of credit. And then you had so many cast members who weren't getting enough credit at all. And actually before Victorious, she was in that movie Taking 5. I think that movie was released in 2007, 2008. So I think, you know, there were a lot of things about Victorious that there was room for improvement for. But I think that as time went on, the show just got more popular and became one of the biggest shows that Nickelodeon had ever put out. And that's why we're not seeing Nickelodeon putting out as far as creative shows as we were seeing them put out back in 2007, from 2007 to 2010. And that's probably why we won't be seeing Nickelodeon putting out as far as creative shows for a very long time, because they can't rebound off the cancellation of Victorious, which we saw in 2013, and iCarly the year before that in 2012. I was really hoping that Victorious was going to hold on for a little while longer. I was really hoping Nickelodeon was going to get past producing shows with 4 seasons, and I was really hoping we were going to see a 5th or 6th season of this show. But if a show went out in a big way, it was definitely Victorious in 2013, and I wanted that show to go out with a bang and in a big way. And obviously, because of this project we started back in 2012, 2013, and really took off, that's why the show went out as big as what it did. In 2011, in the December month of 2011, I started writing letters and saying that I was going to make Victoria Justice into a big celebrity. By 2012, she had found her way to the big screen with the movie Fun Size, promoting Halloween. I mean, she was in a number of projects that a lot of people didn't really know that much about, that were on the big screen as well. But Victoria Justice received a lot of promotion, and it was because of all of you guys, you know, finding out about Victoria Justice and just not giving up on Victoria Justice. So if anyone deserves all the credit in the world for making her into the star that she is today, it's obviously not me, it's all of you, because all of you made this possible, and without you, none of what I was doing back in 2011, 2012 could have ever been made possible. The response that I got for all my videos on my YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to at Jonathan Clarke 22, by the way, felt nothing short of being overwhelming. I was posting hundreds of videos, if not thousands, on Victoria Justice and Ariana Grande, even Elizabeth Gillies, saying, you know, these stars are the stars of the future, believe it or not. And I think a lot of people started to believe my theories on Victorious as we got into probably the 2nd or 3rd season, when I was saying, you know, these stars are going to be the future. And obviously Ariana Grande was someone who jumped at a lot of people, you know, for her music and just how incredible of a singer she was, just how phenomenal of a talent she was. And obviously the theories on people like Ariana Grande fell through with. Now, not necessarily Ariana Grande, I believe, was going to be a big star. I thought that Victoria Justice was going to be a bigger star than what I thought Ariana Grande was going to be. But Ariana Grande, I had somewhat of a philosophy on Ariana Grande, and I believed that she was going to be a big star if given an opportunity. And ironically enough, she did get that opportunity to really jump out as an artist. You know, she really broke through on her own with some of her original music, like Break Free and One Last Time. I really appreciated the space theme from one of her first albums, and now this new theme she's got, Dangerous Woman, promoting this new album on iTunes, which you can download now. Ironically enough, she became the biggest star out of Victorious, but I still think that Victoria Justice is still as big of a celebrity. Just looking at her numbers on her Facebook page and her Twitter, 7 million followers per se on Twitter, millions of subscribers on Facebook, millions of followers on Instagram. The numbers definitely speak for themselves, and what they have illustrated is that just how far someone can come if you just don't give up on someone like Victoria Justice. And that's obviously what all of you did. You didn't give up on someone like Victoria Justice, and I didn't give up on someone like Victoria Justice. You know, I really, really was the biggest Victoria Justice fan in the world on YouTube, and that's why so many people today in 2016 in the interviews I do on sites like Blog Talk Radio and Mixler.com are still crediting me for being the reason behind Victoria Justice, Ariana Grande, and Elizabeth Gillies' success, and probably the other stars of Victorious. Now, I don't really know that much about the other stars of Victorious, like Yvonne Jogula and Eli Thomas, but I really wish I knew more on them. I'm going to have to look them up, but there were probably 3 or 4 stars out of Victorious that I saw a lot of promise with. Obviously, I saw a lot of promise with someone like Elizabeth Gillies long before I ever did any of the other stars on Victorious, Victoria Justice, and Ariana Grande. Those were the primary stars that you knew were destined for success, and the other stars of Victorious are kind of still up in the air, you know, what they're going to do years from now. They're doing projects, but I mean, they're not as big as what Victorious provided them the opportunity to do. And I think that, you know, giving them the chance with Victorious was the first step in the right direction for all of them. So I think that every one of the cast members, a total of maybe 7 through 8, still have as promising futures of Victoria Justice and Ariana Grande. It's just going to take some time before more of an opportunity gets presented for them. And let's say that I will go as far to say that they will have as promising futures if we just don't give up on them. And I hope that none of you do give up on them, because like I said, you know, your support is what it all came back to, what it all fell back on, and felt nothing short of being overwhelming, because the support that I received for this project was definitely something that, you know, I still can't believe 4 years after we started this project, writing hundreds of letters to all these different networks trying to get them a time slot. We finally got it at 8:30 Eastern on YTV here in Canada. Nickelodeon Canada actually dropped it from their lineup because they were airing it so much on YTV at 8:30 Eastern, Monday through Friday, and then again on the weekends, sometimes even on Saturday nights. They would have marathons of Victorious. That just goes to show how popular Victorious show was. And then, of course, they had Victorious Day, I think back in 2011, 2012, where they showed an entire day of marathons of Victoria Justice's show Victorious. So definitely the show took off. And I remember actually seeing the first premiere of the show in prime time on YTV here in Canada. I didn't think the project was going to be followed through with. I had no acknowledgement that the primetime slot had been secured for Victorious. So watching YTV every weeknight like I usually do, I caught the premiere of the show 8:30 Eastern, and I was like, oh my God, you know, this really happened. I couldn't believe that it had happened. It happened about 2 or 3 months after I had written one of the first letters that I wrote out of YTV amongst hundreds that I had written. It took me literally 6 months to put something together from December of 2011 up until at least March or April of 2012. I started writing the letter actually in December of 2011 and put it together finally. I finalized it in February of 2012. A few months after that, 2.5 months after sending it to YTV.com, this all happened. Nick Canada dropped it from its lineup shortly after the premiere of Nick Canada for the first time in Canada. The network premiered. They dropped it because of so much publicity the show was receiving courtesy of YTV, and you know, the show just took off from there, winning 2012 Favorite TV Show at the Kids' Choice Awards that year, 4 years ago, and seemingly after winning the Kids' Choice Award, the show just blew up, and I have all of you to thank for that. And everybody still crediting me for the success of Victorious. I thank you guys so much for not giving up on me and still believing that I am the reason behind Victoria Justice's success, and the reason why I'm commenting on this has everything to do with all the interviews I've been doing recently on sites specifically like Mixler.com. You guys not giving up on me, you know, saying that I'm still the reason behind Victoria Justice's success, but I'm not the only reason behind the success of Victoria Justice, because if not for all of you, none of this would have been made possible. Believing in my theories on Victorious, believing in my stories and theories on Victoria Justice and all the cast members of the show, which showed a lot of camaraderie, a lot of work dedication, and work ethic. That's what it came down to, and because of you believing in everything that I was saying about the show just took off and received tremendous success, and still is receiving tremendous success. Actually, you can still see the show as part of Nickelodeon Splat. I think in the United States they are still showing it as part of the Splat, which is a look back at some of Nickelodeon's favorite TV shows from their heyday, like Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Rocko's Modern Life, and shows like iCarly and Victorious had made the block as well. You know, what we did here in Canada in 2011, 2012, we got them a part of a block with iCarly in the primetime hours of Monday through Friday nights. It started at 8:30 Eastern, of course, with Victorious. Before that, at 8 Eastern, we had iCarly. And I said, you know, throw iCarly and Victorious together in a block on YTV and see what happens, and without a doubt your ratings will skyrocket, and that's exactly what happened. And after YTV believed that my theory was actually accurate, they started showing it. They basically overkilled the show, but I thought that overkilling the show wasn't something that was really necessarily bad, because this was a show, like I said, that wasn't receiving a lot of publicity. So overkilling the show was one of the best things that could have happened for it, and if the show went out, it went out definitely in a big way. I said you either had to promote the hell out of the show, you had to beef up the commercial advertising for the show, you had to show it more often, because the time slots the show was in was literally ridiculous. I mean, at 4 o'clock in the morning, my time, on Eastern Standard Time here in Canada, it was 2:30 Eastern that you would have to watch Victorious if you didn't watch it on the weekends. The only option you had outside of the primetime slot that I got that preceded this one was watching it on Friday and Sunday afternoons. Friday night it would air at about 7:30 through 8 Eastern, and then Sunday afternoons at like 11 or 11:30 in the morning my time, which was about 10 a.m. Eastern, were the only options you had to watch Victorious. So overkilling the show by the time the primetime slot was landed for Victorious necessarily wasn't a bad thing, because it was receiving more publicity, and because the show was being aired more, the more people became aware of what was happening with the show like Victorious, and Victorious obviously won it over with the fans, and it's because of all of you guys Victorious got in the position that was in, and why we're seeing the stars of Victorious receiving so much publicity and having so much of a success story written for them, and I have every one of you to thank for it. So necessarily I wasn't the reason behind Victoria Justice's success, but I will never forget this project, which was first put into my mind in 2011, and we fell through with it by 2013. The show went out with a friggin' bang, and it was because of all of you believing in what I thought was pretty much a dead-on statement and pretty accurate for Victorious, was it not? I was a Victoria Justice fan for good reason. I was an Ariana Grande fan for good reason. I was an Elizabeth Gillies fan for more than one good reason. And, I know the kiss between Ariana Grande and Elizabeth Gillies has been brought up to me a lot in reviews. The thoughts, what I had on that kiss that was posted on Ariana Grande's Facebook fan page and Elizabeth Gillies' Facebook fan page has been brought up to me a lot, and a lot of other provocative things we've seen these stars caught up within. But what star haven't we seen caught up within some kind of provocativeness over the last 5 years? It seems like everybody is putting swearing into the music, changing the direction for what they believe is the right direction to head in. So I don't think we should be giving them a hard time.